I think we're live right
Hey
now.
guys, what's up? Yep, we are live. We're live here. It is June 4th. We're going to be talking June 5th MLB. I'm live with Furious, aka Brandon. Uh, Good to be reunited. I know we were having some fun on Twitter with it. We had a great show last time out. But how are you doing, man? Everything going well?
Everything's been going real well, especially DFS world. I don't know. I've been ever since I've been on these shows with you guys, it's raised my game a little. And I was talking to Chris, it's like once you start holding yourself accountable a little bit to your picks, they tighten up. I don't know. Like I've had some really good teams over the past couple of weeks, so can't complain other than the Red Sox. We were riding a 7 game streak. The past couple of days have not been great. So luckily, I switched from Holt to Bogarts in typical Red Sox fan fashion. So I've been enjoying the past couple nice days with him. But yeah, here we are midweek, and it's time to break some DFS down. What do you got going?
Yeah, man, it's been really busy for me. I know Chris manages a baseball team. I actually manage the Legion team here. So I've had some, getting these kids together. We had a doubleheader last night. So it's been a lot. I haven't had a whole lot of time to throw in a lot in DFS. Played a little bit more tonight. But hopefully with some extended research tonight on some of these games that we're going to break down, we can get some good action in there tomorrow. I know you know that I'm a Cubs fan, and the Cubs are playing the Mets. So at some point, if anybody's questioning the choice of my Mets shirt, I thought about maybe it would work as a reverse jinx for some reason, and it did not work because I think the Mets have 3 runs already in the first or something like that.
Oh,
So bad idea by Logie, but
Logie,
what are you gonna do?
that would be like me wearing a Yankees hat one time when it's Red Sox versus Yankees. That apparel will never touch my body. So reverse
Right? It's
jinx,
well, it's a,
reverse jinx
sorry.
theory is pretty solid, but I don't know. I don't think you can wear the opposition's team's colors. I think you have to do it some other way. You have to keep your hat forward. You have to flatten the brim. You have to do things like that. Like I don't know if you can rock a T-shirt that says Mets. It's like, ooh, your Cubbies felt that, man, right in the core. So
Right. Well, I mean, the Mets Cubs were a pretty big rivalry when it was just the NL East and there wasn't a Central Division. But obviously now with the Central, they're not big rivals anymore. So I feel okay wearing it. Like it wasn't like quite Yankees Red Sox esque, in that
dude,
regards. But took a
I get the
chance.
huge rivalry up. It's true. It's definitely way on the lower scale. It's just I don't know. I can't ever even reverse jinxing someone. I've had too much experience with that through the years. It's wearing the other team's colors, dude. I think you made a faux pas there. So I'm just gonna tell you, Uncle Furious says, don't wear the opposition's colors.
I will stick. I will stick to it. Why is Uncle furious? I will stick to that from now on. But anyway, we do have some baseball to get to. It is kind of like a small. It's not a full 15 game slate tomorrow. It's a broken up slate. Some day games, some night games. We're going to talk about all of them. Kind of briefly. Make sure we get to everything and have some fun at the same time. The first one I have on my list here is the Giants and Reds at Great American Ballpark tomorrow. It's a 12:35 Eastern start. And this is Bumgarner's throwing for the Giants, and Mike Leake is throwing for the Reds. I know initially you mentioned that we were talking about this in the pre-show briefly. You might like Bumgarner tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, against the Reds, of course. He's had 2 monster games his last ones. That's why he's up on DK. He's up at 11 grand. He's your second highest pitcher. The past 2, he's had 37 and 35 points, and 10 and 10 for K's. Going up against the Reds, even like if a Billy Hamilton's in there, or I mean that's very attractive. So on the other side of that leak, it depends on how the Giants kind of do tonight too. I'm not too in on that how they're doing, but if the bats start heating up a little bit, he's nice mid-range. He's gonna. It seems like he gets about 15 to 23 points over his past 4. So that's solid for his very mid-range price of 7,300 on DK. But I don't know. We're going Bumgarner, and I might be stacking up against Leak a little.
Yeah, he's one of the best options in that short slate. Well, at least the morning slate or afternoon slate or whatever. We've talked about this a bunch. The Reds lineup isn't much of a threat, right now without guys like Joey Votto in there, and Bruce I guess is heating up a little bit. Phillips, yuck. I could talk about not liking him a lot, and I have at length in the past. I won't do so tonight. One of the interesting things I want to mention about Mike Leake. I'm not sure if you follow Ken Rosenthal on Twitter, one of the Fox Sports baseball guys, tweeted out like the NL's top 5 or top 10 or whatever in, I don't know if it was opponent's batting average or some like higher pitching statistic. Mike Leake was actually in the top 10, which was pretty surprising. So I did a little bit more digging on him. And this is a guy that I don't use a whole lot because he kind of flies under the radar there, especially when you got names in that rotation like Homer Bailey, and not even in the rotation, but Aroldis Chapman at the back half of it. The arms just, they aren't super name heavy there. I guess you got Matt Latos who's banged up. So Leake kind of falls into that, that group of guys that you don't really hear too much about, but he's pretty solid. 2.92 ERA, a WHIP of about 1. I like to see those stats, but I don't know if I can get on board with using him at the same time.
So you're basically saying you like Leak because he has some good upside, but he's going up against the Giants' bats, and you still don't trust him?
Yeah. I know. I like him as a pitcher. I don't like him as a DFS option tomorrow. Is that a better explanation?
It probably is. He's lower priced on the pitcher scale. I mean, he's the 5th highest on DK, but that's at 7,300. Which is a pretty low price for.
Gosh, yeah, that's really cheap for a pitcher.
Technically, he's the 5th best option. So.
That's really. That's really tempting.
Slate going right now. We have Tanaka and Bumgarner, and then a whole bunch of other dudes, basically. So what's next on our list?
It's the Oakland A's and the Yankees. You mentioned Tanaka, who's incredible, but he is facing the A's, dude. That's tough, man. The A's are a good team, and then the A's, the A's are throwing out Drew Pomeranz, who's still been pretty good. This is at Yankee Stadium though, where a lot of runs get scored. I think you have to use Tanaka, but the A's are so good. It's so tough. Like.
That's such a tough call. Like, honestly, you see Tanaka and you're like, all right, I'm going to play him. On DK, he's 13 grand, which we're starting to get into weird territory with where these pitchers' prices are going. Before we were looking at 12K, then it's 12.5. Now we're up to 13K for Tanaka against arguably one of the best offenses right now over the past 2 or 3 weeks. That's really scary. So you cash game type people, I think yourself included, might be looking at this a little weird because you gotta put a lot of your roster money behind him, and he's going up against Oakland, and it's in New York. So that's very, very suspect to me right away. The price.
I agree, man. That price that's tough to pay. That's more than a 50-year salary. Yeah. 50K cap on DK. And you're paying for 13 just for one pitcher, you need 2. Yeah. And then you got to fill in a lineup too. It's really difficult. I think cash game wise, he's still going to be pretty highly owned. I honestly do, because he is kind of outside of Bumgarner there, head and shoulders the best guy on the board.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're constructing your GPP lineups, I think you need to make a few without him to kind of alleviate the salary cap just a tad, and let yourself get some hitters. And at the same time, should he not be good, you didn't waste all that money on him, in every single one of your lineups. You know what I mean? So whereas I think, he's going to be highly owned in cash games, and I am totally on board with that. I think you do need to kind of work your way around him in GPPs, with some lineups. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, looking at it from a GPP player's perspective, he'll be on about 33% of my teams. If I have 6 teams, I'll have him on 2. The other 4, I'll have contrarian or mid-range guys because he's so expensive. So 2 of my teams out of 6, if he really goes lights out, 30 to 40 points, then 2 of them are going to be great. But against Oakland, I'm going 66, 67% against it.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's a really tough.
But that's
I,
GPPs. It's like that's
right.
completely different than the cash game. It's like my theory is I want to beat the crowd. So something like that, I think people will buy into instantly. So, 4 out of 6, 2 out of 3, I'm going to fade Tanaka. But
Right. Yeah. You know what? Man, I don't know. I was just gonna say something, and now I'm blanking on it.
I blew your
Um,
mind GPP style for a few seconds there with what I'm going to throw Tanaka on percentage wise and stuff. You're kind of like, holy.
yeah, yeah, you did. Yeah, dude. I don't remember what I was gonna say. If I remember, I'll come back to it. But anyway, we might as well move on because I don't remember.
I'm good with that.
The
You're like,
Blue Jays,
you're like mind blown just for
the Blue Jays and Tigers at Comerica Park. No weather concerns in any of these games yet that we've talked about. Verlander, the aging, declining Verlander tomorrow for the Tigers. Excuse me. And for Toronto, it's going to be J.A. Happ or J. Happ. I don't know what he wants to be called anymore.
he
I know he
wants to
had
be
that thing where.
Cy Hap after his last
Right.
battle against Oakland, where he was friggin' ace, and all sorts of people were BS. I don't know. I don't know what to make of J.A. Happ. I've been stacking against him for a year and a half now, since I started, with moderate success. Last year, lots of success. This year, he's balancing it out a little bit. So the Cy Hap stuff that was all over Twitter and everywhere else, it's like that was in full effect last time because people had a feeling. He's been pitching surprisingly mediocre. I think he has got lit up. No, he's got about 10 points as his last in his past four, and he's got a cap of about 30. And I don't know. He's doing 5 to 7 innings, so J.A. Happ is something to keep an eye on. Verlander, I don't know. We got decreasing velocity issues, which always start to scare me off someone. This year, people have been noticeably talking about it that pitches are not hitting the miles per hour that they should with him. And going up against Toronto, E5, he's been a freaking hurricane over the past 2 or 3 weeks, easily. Maybe even an entire month. Against Verlander, I don't know. You got tough stuff in this one. I almost lean towards Hap. He's 6 grand on DK compared to Verlander at 9.5. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
huge savings.
No, I totally agree. I'm not on either one though.
Yeah.
Um, it, dude, Verlander, like, first of all, even if it was against another team, I don't think I'm on them. I don't think I'm on him. I mean, um, yeah, the declining velocity, and you just look. Even if you're one of these guys, one of the newer DFS players that doesn't even look into the peripherals, you don't even look past anything. If you just look at the ERA or something like that, you should be scared off this guy. A lot of times we mention that those statistics aren't indicative of how a pitcher has pitched. Like ERA and win loss, like that shouldn't decide whether or not a guy goes in your lineup. But if you're one of the newer guys tomorrow and you're making a decision based on that, you're making the right decision with not using Verlander because it looks bad, and rightfully so. Don't do this because it's not a good play. I feel comfortable using. This would be a guy that I would have never really felt comfortable using bats against, but I feel comfortable using Toronto bats against him. Like I have no qualms with that. And on the other end of it, I love Kinsler. I love Victor. I love Miggy. Miggy crushed the ball tonight. Kinsler kills lefties. Like I love all those guys against Hap. So this, for that early slate, this is going to be one of the games that I think is, not going to be targeted as heavily offensively as it should. That's what I'll leave it at. I don't think
you're right. I think you're right because Hap's mediocrity and Verlander's name himself will scare a lot of people off Toronto versus Detroit. But Toronto bats are crazy. Detroit bats can get crazy. And I'm still stacking against Hap, even though he's kind of boned me a little bit with his mediocrity. It's happening. But Verlander, too, he's always suspect. So I think you're dead on with, focus on the hitters in this game. Fade both of those pitchers for the most part.
Right. And even though we talked about that last game, or the game before this being Tanaka and Pomeranz, I don't think, a lot of guys will be on Oakland bats, but, they still have the potential to be really good at Yankee Stadium. Mm-hmm. But I do think people will be on some Yankees. which I would be on some Yankees as well.
Mhm.
They do have some guys who can hit right-handed there against Pomeranz that I'm totally okay with, but I think there might be too much exposure to that game, or maybe even the game before that against like a guy like Mike Leake or something.
Yeah.
Whereas I think most of the exposure should come in this game. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, it's really difficult to predict kind of percentage owned right now, especially when we don't have lineups. But that would be one of my guesses as to.
I think you nailed the part of you've got a really low price pitcher that people will probably stack up against a higher price pitcher that they might not. But the whole game should be targeted, basically. Don't be fooled by names or prices. Just because a guy's in the top price range for pitcher doesn't necessarily mean that's the stats you're going to get out of him. So, agreed.
Yeah, yeah, man. Next game here. We're moving to the 4 o'clock games now. Those are the three 1 o'clocks. So if you're playing on DFS Elite, those games will be grouped into one slate. These next couple games, I think, will be grouped in the next. It's the Marlins, not the Marlins. Sorry, I skipped it. The Nationals and the Phillies at Nationals Park.
Ooh.
Let me see. My list is freezing up on me here. That's not good. It's Kyle Kendrick and Fister.
Yeah. And I've been waiting for Fister to get fisted, like he normally does all over Twitter. He did last year from time to time. I don't know. Again, another mediocre guy. His price matches his production. He's mid 7,000s on DK, and you're getting 15 to 20 points against Philly. He could definitely be in play. Kendrick, on the other hand. Ugh, every other game, it's like he has less than 10, then he has 17. Less than 10, then he has 17. I don't know. Looking at his splits, his home ERA is a lot better than his road, so already he becomes more suspect to me at that point. I probably need to see the Nationals lineup because it's been a little bit weak lately, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on Kendrick?
Dude, no Kendrick for me, just because he's one of those pitchers that I will never use. And that's a terrible, it's a terrible spot for me to be here telling.
It's not
telling.
terrible at all. Like it's seriously not terrible. I'm a GPP guy, and I will take the dirtiest of dirty players in the lower prices. And Kendrick, I don't think he's ended up on one of my teams in a year and a half. So you are completely justified. It's not terribly dirty.
Man, I don't feel right being in this position, trying to help guys make decisions on maybe where to look tomorrow, and completely tell them, hey, don't use this guy, and give no justification. Here's my justification: Kyle Kendrick sucks. Like, I mean, I don't care about his numbers.
Just hashtag fuck Kendrick.
I don't care about his numbers. I don't care about his peripherals. I don't care about what he's done, recently. I don't think Kyle Kendrick is a good pitcher, and I will never use him, regardless of situation. So with that being said, I like a guy like Adam LaRoche tomorrow. As a GPP player, that's kind of like the perfect type of guy. Big home run potential.
LaRoche,
Yeah.
Worth, these couple guys, I want to say Spawn too, if he's still. I don't know. These types of guys, I like their 1 through 5. I'll look to see who's batting 1 through 5 for them, and I'll load it up because it's like the dude sucks. When a guy sucks, we need to exploit that. It has to happen. So there will be national bats for sure with me tomorrow.
Agreed, man. Agreed. I feel the same way. The other thing I want to mention on this game is that we were talking about Doug Fister a little bit. I like to take guys against the Phillies, because I don't really care for the Phillies lineup, and I think Doug Fister fits that bill again tomorrow, and I think he's going to be another guy who's going to be overlooked with a guy like Tanaka, Bumgarner. So I like Fister as kind of that third, fourth guy that you're thinking about tomorrow in that early slate. Is that kind of where he is for you?
For me, Fister has moved up a bit in my GPP making lineups for tomorrow. He might hit 33% of them. He might be in 2 out of 6 because he's mid-range. He's 7,500 We could get 6 to 7 innings, 5 to 7 Ks. On DK, 15 to 25 points. And against Philly, I think my chances are better. So where the pitching is, you've got three guys that are really high priced, and then everyone between 7,500 and 56. Fister's going to be on probably a third of my lineups tomorrow at this point. So I definitely agreed with him.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. You know, I feel like this is a guy that could definitely win you a GPP because people are definitely gonna own Bumgarner. People are gonna own Tanaka. I feel like Fister is kind of like that Mike Leake type play tomorrow. That is gonna be super overlooked because the name isn't there. And you know, I don't mind the matchup for either of them. I think both of them are that solid number 2 guy to fit into like a second pitcher slot on DraftKings that can win you a GPP tomorrow. So those would be my 2 guys.
That's what I was talking about. That second starting pitcher slot on DK, Fister's going in at least 2, maybe 3 of my rosters if I have 6. You know, like that's a really enticing price where he's so mid-range. He could put up a solid game tomorrow.
I completely agree, and I really like that. I like that. Just the potential there. I like a lot. And Kyle Kendrick, no, stop. Don't.
You know why?
Kyle.
Because he sucks. It's stuff Logie
said. He sucks. Yeah, Kyle Kendrick sucks. Don't use him. Anyway, sorry. This is a sidetrack. While I am back home, now that I've said sucks a couple times here, I was a pretty good kid. You know, I didn't get in any trouble or anything. And my mom happens to be a teacher. So I actually had her for like 4th grade social studies or something. Anyway, I said sucks in class or something. I don't even remember. And she yanked me out in the hallway. And I missed my only recess ever my whole entire elementary career because of my mom. because I said sucks.
You missed one recess out of your entire life? Oh, I had to write at one point. I had to write the letter R for like 3 weeks in a row. Man, like I said sucks one time, I got yanked out. It's like, oh man, I know every R word ever imaginable to man. But
yeah, it was.
Did people give you shit about that? Were they like, hey Logie, what about the teacher?
You know what? No, I didn't get a whole lot for it. I'm not sure why. Because if I was in the position of those kids and it was like my friend or something that had been pulled out by his mom, I would have been totally all over him about it.
Dude, I would have been all over you. That's a kill shot. That's not. It's like, why are these kids capitalizing around you? What happened there? I'm very curious.
Right.
I have a mom that's a teacher, and she taught special ed kids. So, I mean, I'm a special dude, but I was never in her actual classes. You know, it kind of got away from that. But if you're directly in her class, man, I can't believe those other dudes didn't go after you, especially when she pulls you out. Like, you said the S word, and it's not even shit.
Dude, she yanked me out there, and she said, do you know why you're out here? And, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, no, I have no clue. Like, what did I do? Like, why did you just yank me in the hall? I have no clue. But anyway, whatever. We should get back to baseball, though.
I love that, man. That's beautiful. It's like sucks. You know, we gotta watch out for that word. It's shaping youth's minds. It's terrible. So what's our next game, Logie?
Anyway. Yeah, it's the Marlins and Rays at Tropicana Field tonight. Man, David Price kind of disappointing. Fell apart a little bit. Tomorrow it's Jake Odorizzi.
I'm completely unplugged. I'm completely unplugged from tonight. What's going on with that?
He gave up a 3-run homer to Donovan Solano. So, you know, when something like that happens...
I didn't have Solano anywhere. Damn.
No, nobody would. Nobody would.
Even my crazy GPP ass wouldn't be rostering Solano. So how many innings is he in at this point?
You know what? I've stopped kind of keeping track of what's going on. When I'm on here, especially with my connection back home, I can't really afford to pay attention to it. But I know that...
That's why I'm curious as well, because I'm curious and not furious, because I can't have like 3 or 4 windows open at the same time.
Right, right. Anyway, the next game, it's this next game, the Rays and Marlins. It's Jake Odorizzi, who actually he pitched against your Bo Sox last time.
And he looked pretty
And
friggin' solid until he got blew up by Holt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And on the other end of it, another big time prospect who hasn't really panned out too much right now, Jacob Turner, going for the Marlins,
Oh,
an ex-Tigers prospect.
damn.
What are your thoughts here? Like, are you on
I
hitters?
I don't know what to make of Turner because he had been a guy that I've been pretty solid behind over the past year or so. Recently, not so much. I don't know what's going on. I mean, he's at a rock bottom price. Like tomorrow on DK, he's the absolute lowest. But I don't know. He's had some mid-teens games for points, but he's also had a 2 and a 4 point game. I don't know against Tampa Bay. That's really tough because being the mid-priced pitcher, potential great pitcher too at some point. I'm definitely going Odorizzi, even though he got blown up. He's given me something to look at over the past 4. 3 out of his 4 were good, and I mean one of the Boston ones was only because I super jinxed him hard with Holt. So we got to give him a little leeway for that.
Yeah, I guess so. Brock Holt's first career homer off Jake Odorizzi. I like Odorizzi's K potential. That's what kind of reels me into him a little bit.
Yep.
I know the Marlins got on price a little bit tonight, but they are striking out a lot, and they're not as good away from home. Although they've been really good. That's why I like him. I like the K potential. He's a young arm. He's got good stuff. Hasn't put it all together yet, but this is still a guy that he's going to be around here for a while. He's going to be a guy to keep your eye on. And I think especially tomorrow, he fits that number 2 pitcher mold. We've mentioned 2 or 3 guys now that fit that mold really well. So you know what? An interesting GPP strategy and something that I employ quite often, honestly, is to go with 2 of those number 2 guys and then really both are hitters.
I did that. I did that recently over the past week and a half. And it worked really great. I was taking 2 of the lowest priced pitchers and loading up on hitters. I had Cruz, E5. I mean, you name these dudes that were getting dongs or double dongs, I had them all. And my pitchers would throw a -6 on me, both of them. So it's like, yes, I am on board as a GPP guy with punting the starting pitcher. But, I mean, I've had some really explosive nights doing that, where I've put up on DK 140 hitter points and finished with 120 because I lost 20 on my mid-range punting pitching. But yeah, it's like if I'm looking at a second pitcher on DK, I was looking at Fister before, I'd add Odorizzi to 1 or 2 more rosters. So that's another 33% of what I might be rostering with him tomorrow. I don't like to roster Fister and Odorizzi on the same roster. I might do one of those. That's where I'm running into a problem here. It's like both these guys are in the 7,000 range. It's like if you go both, I mean, if that's go big or go home at that point, because I don't know. I've had some pretty bad scores with some of these mid-range, but I've had some really good success too. So I don't really know what to do with that theory yet, Logie. I don't.
Yeah, you know what? It's something that I toy around with because GPP, you kind of just, you can just kind of throw your cash into the wind and see what kind of blows back at you at the end of the night. So I think it is an interesting strategy, and it's just another guy. It's just another option there that should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in this game, should you not look at these pitchers? I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game, honestly. I think there's 8 runs there already tonight. I don't really see a whole lot of runs coming from these offenses there tomorrow, so I'm not on a whole lot of hitters. But if I was to pick on Jake Odorizzi, obviously it's Giancarlo Stanton. I don't have to mention him, but Christian Yelich, dude, give the guy some love. Give him some love.
Dude, you know what I'll do? I'll give him a furious hat tip for you.
Great. If you're out there, Christian, I know you're playing right now. Hopefully we can get this taped to you for the Furious Hat Tip.
That makes me so happy. It's like, hey, Yelich, I know you're doing like serious MLB work, but when you're at home watching the Lou Dogs TV tonight, give me a shout out.
Right, exactly. Man, he's got to know he's in like all my mentions. He's in like all my tweets on Twitter. I'm sure it pops up for him. So,
It has.
anyway, we should move on to the night slate. The first game is 7:05 Eastern start with it's the Cubs and Mets at Wrigley. The Cubs actually are coming back in this game a little bit here. That's the one thing that I do. I get alerts sent to my phone, like the ESPN alerts that tell me
I
it's
get
3-2.
I get them for the Boston every night, no
Yeah.
matter what. It's like they ask you what's your favorite team when you sign up, and I'm like, oh, there's Red Sox, and so it's like, well, anything the Red Sox do, you will know about. It's like, all
Yep.
right, I'm all right with that. I don't mind. So where are we at tonight? Because I did do a little stacking. I think I went with a Chicago stack because it was Dice K, and even though he's been completely average and doing his thing, and the wind's blowing in, I was like, I'm going to throw a little stack out there tonight because if they're going off by like 10 runs and Logie's got that little dong boner going for it, I might as well have a stack behind it. So, but it doesn't sound so
Yeah,
great. What's the score?
they've got 2 runs through 2. They're okay.
Okay.
Still a lot of baseball to be played.
We'll take
Tomorrow though, it's Travis Wood who's been atrocious recently,
Mhm.
like real bad recently, and Jacob DeGrom who's been really good in his couple starts here up in the big leagues. Uh, you know, it's a tough slate I think in this nightcap tomorrow. I think overall for the nightcap. It's a little bit more difficult than it is, the kind of maneuver with pitchers and stuff in the morning or in the early afternoon or whatever. I think Jacob DeGrom will honestly be. I'm sorry.
I like a lot more of the mid-range guys in the early slate compared to the later slate. So you're definitely on to something. And Travis Wood, oh my God, he better not be watching this show because that dude, he brought me to shame last week. I remember I was looking at the screen, and it was like Travis Wood against Milwaukee. Well, he's a lefty, and they're all righties. And I was like, well, that's probably fine. He's okay. He's really cheap. Let's try him out. Thanks for the negative bazillion points, Travis Wood, and forcing me into a shaming, too. It's been talked about on other shows, but Travis Wood was the catalyst. So even though we're supposed to forget everything on a daily basis, Travis Wood, you're on my SOL list. We're SOL right now with you. It ain't happening. I don't care what the price is. Show me one good game. All right, Logie, you can defend him.
I'm not going to give him too much defense there for right now. This is a guy that I think is an underrated pitcher overall, but we're worried about fantasy, and he's not really ever a fantasy option. Like he doesn't ever really fall into that category. Now it is the Mets, so I will give you that. But it's still real difficult for me to kind of, sack up and roster this guy. I think in this game DeGrom will be owned more than Travis Wood.
Oh, that's huge. No, it's like that should be at a 6 or 8 to 1 clip tomorrow because I won't, as a GPP guy, I'm not rostering Travis Wood. He needs to show me something. You're getting nothing. DeGrom, on the other hand, even though he's expensive, I'll get him in a third of my lineups or something. I would probably have one lineup where I go Logie's Cub stack just for a little contrarian, but DeGrom, definitely. He's earned my respect to a certain point. Wood, I got nothing for you. God.
I do respect Travis Wood overall. Recently, I do not respect Travis Wood in the slightest. So I won't be on him. I think, if you're picking on Travis Wood, David Wright, there's not really much outs. The Mets lineup is so bad, too. David Wright, yay.
It's like because of this, I am doing a full Mets stack tomorrow night. I might even up the ante and go into the 12 or 27 GPP with it because Wood has made me furious. You don't want to see me when I'm mad because I get a little furious.
You know what? This isn't the time because we're a little bit behind. I guess we got some games to get to. This isn't the time to, I guess, dig into the origins of the Furious handle. But we will have to talk about that sometime. So let's save that. Let's save that for another show.
That's very true. It's like we had a shorter slate, so I started getting off task a lot more, and I'm looking at the games. It's like, yeah, we got about 5 with 20 minutes. So, all right, I'm on board with that. We can delve into the origins later. It goes back to the Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner, Bill Bixby, like early '80s, late '70s. Like it's serious roots. So go
Okay.
ahead,
All
bring
right.
us
You'll
away.
have to explain it to me. Okay. Let's move on though. We got a few more to get to here. The Astros and the Angels at Minute Maid Park.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
Colby Lewis and Tyler. No, sorry, that's Colby
no.
Lewis pitcher for the Rangers. Sorry,
We'll
Tyler Skaggs. Tyler Skaggs and Brad Peacock.
oh. Peacock, peacocking. I don't even know. I mean, last year I was able to really capitalize off him. This year, nothing. And his price keeps creeping up. He's a solid mid-range guy. He pitches in Houston, which always scares me. But Skaggs, I don't know. I still feel like he's a 10 to 20 point DK pitcher. He hasn't shown me much. I mean, Houston was a real serious mini stack over the past week and a half, but Springer went slightly cold. Some of the other guys have cooled down. Um, I'm really torn on this one because I love to stack against Peacock, but I've been off it recently. And Skaggs, I like to play him, but he's been kind of terrible. So, what do you think with that?
That's what I think of that. I used Skaggs not too long ago. His start against the Mariners, where he got hit around a little bit, but he was good with Ks. The Astros still aren't. They're not at the top of the K list anymore. That was taken over by the White Sox, and the Cubs are number 2, by the way. But it's still. I will mention it every time we see this lineup. They are getting better. And these guys getting to the bigs are going to be good, but they are still young and still, kind of an undisciplined team. And at any given night, they have the potential to kind of be the Astros that we've, become accustomed to. So I think Skaggs, for that reason, is kind of on my radar. Brad Peacock is not on my radar at all. I don't, this is one of those things that I'm really, honestly, I'm struggling with because some of these Houston guys, some of these Houston arms are actually kind of worth taking a look at and using right now. Colin McHugh, Dallas Keuchel, whatever. And even Peacock hasn't been bad. And in the beginning, Scott Feldman was awesome. And
Dude,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
have you even looked at Peacock's past few game logs? He's got 8 Ks, 5 Ks, and 11 Ks in his past 3. I've stacked
It's
against him all
stupid.
3. I mean, what is that? He's peacocking, but it's like I feel exactly how you do with him. It's like I think this dude sucks, but why are you getting the stats you are? What's happening? And you pitch in Houston a lot. All those games that I just mentioned, you were home. What is going on?
Yeah, dude. Don't even get me started on this because I could go at length about how shitty I think these guys are, but they keep defying me. Honestly, I'm gonna stack against Keuchel or whatever until it works. I will stack until it works because last year you stacked against Keuchel every time he took the mound and you won money. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the opposing team was. If you stacked against Keuchel, you were money. It was so easy. It was the easy. You didn't even have to do any research. We didn't. If this was last year and Keuchel was pitching, we wouldn't have had to do Lou TV. We could have signed on real quick, said Dallas Keuchel's pitching, and then signed off.
And Ahab is on the mound. It's like
Right.
what's happening this year? What's going on?
And good for him, to be able to turn it around. And I think it's cool that the Astros are getting better because it's nice to see it happen for a team because I know that that's what the Cubs are striving for, with this kind of whole system overhaul. So it's nice to actually see it kind of working, and I hope that the Cubs can replicate it and, even be better than that. But Dallas Keuchel, stop because I want to win money too, so.
You got to reel it back into peacocking. This is what got you on a tangent. It's like the dude has mid-20s for strikeouts over the past 3 games. He's averaging 7 or 8, and you're like, I live in a world where Peacock is averaging 7 or 8 Ks.
No Peacock for me. I do want to mention Josh Hamilton is back. Homered last night. He's back. Keep him on your radar. That's a guy I like against Peacock. Wow. I don't care. I'm not using Peacock.
I'm with you, man. And I didn't know about the Hamilton news, so thank you. Good one in there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not on Peacock. Another guy, a notable player in this game that's back, I guess. He's up from, AAA, AA, or whatever. John Singleton, the big prospect for the Astros. He's a left-handed guy. I don't want him against Skaggs.
Mm.
So there's that. I think there could be some hitters in this game. I like Altuve kind of always. He's against Skaggs. He hits lefties better. Springer, those are options.
I take
Matt Dominguez.
I take him. I take Dominguez. I take Altuve. I take Castro. I take Springer, and sometimes Chris Carter. It's like those are my top three, but possibly five for Strohs. It's like I pretty much dial those guys in, and a couple of them are donging. Someone may get the double dong.
Right. Right. Tomorrow's not a Castro day for me because against the lefty. I don't even know if he'll be in the lineup, honestly. But the rest of those guys that you mentioned.
If he's not in the lineup, then yeah, he gets a pass. But if he's in, I don't care about the lefty stuff at that point. If he's in, he's getting rocked by the Furious.
Right. Okay, we got 4 more games. We got about 17 minutes. We will push through here. Orioles-Rangers. Orioles-Rangers. I mentioned Colby Lewis before. He's pitching in this game, and Miguel Gonzalez is as well. Dude, Colby Lewis doesn't worry me at all. Stack me up some Nelson Cruz, Adam Jones, Crush Davis, all those guys. You on board with that?
That's pretty much the whole review of this game for me. It's in Texas against Colby Lewis. Cruz is leading the league in home runs. Adam Jones, Cruz, Crush Davis, boom. We got those three. I might go 4 and 5, and it would be undecided until I see the batting order. But in Texas against Lewis, hell yeah. And Miggy Gonzalez on the other end of that, he's done pretty solid, but he can get lit up as well. So I am fading both of those pitchers. I'm not taking them at any GPPs, and if they go off, complete game shutout, I miss out tomorrow. But that's my instant look at those two pitchers. It's like, hell no, both of them.
Dude, they're not going to throw complete game shutouts. Don't worry, they're not going to. And I'll probably get burned, and they'll both throw. It'll be one of those weird no hitters from both guys games or something stupid. But no, it's not happening tomorrow. I like hitters in this game. No pitchers for me. All the hitters are in play essentially. I think I keep mentioning this guy because he's younger than I am, and I think it's awesome. Rougned Odor, still super cheap, but he's been good.
Wait,
20-year-old guy.
Can you say his name for me again? Because I got Odor. I got the last name, but
I think it's pronounced Rougned Odor.
Because I was always going with Roughened, even though it doesn't have an H. I threw that one in there. So it's Rougned, you think?
Dude, I have not heard it pronounced by anyone else. That is my rough, interpretation of, looking at it.
You even used rough for Rougned. See, you wanted to throw the H in there a little bit.
I did.
I've been punting with him myself because he's so cheap and can definitely get on board there. I like it. And it's funny, too, because you're like, well, this dude's younger than me. And then I'm like, yeah, all those running backs that are just turning 32, 33, those guys are younger than me, too. Different sport, but it's funny. I know where you're at. You're like, I can't believe this dude is younger than me. It's like, give yourself 10 years. When you look at the running backs that are like, I have to retire because I'm too old.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. We'll move on to the next one, now. We
got 3 more left, dude. 15 minutes. I mean, we're styling. 5 minutes of breakdown.
We're fine.
Plus,
Cardinals, Royals.
Yeah, the Cardinals. It's like all we have to do is hit up Matty Bell. He'll let us know what's up.
Right. This game we might not be touching at all. Actually, the next 3 all have weather concerns. This one has the highest chance. 60% storms, 40% all the way up through, and it looks like it's going to rain there all night tomorrow. This is at Kauffman Stadium now, finishing up the home and home there. It is, let me find my list, Michael Wacha, so that's nice, against Yordano Ventura's back. What a matchup of young arms, dude.
Seriously. That's one of the things that's a shame after what you just mentioned, like the weather issues. When I was looking through the slate, I like Wacha versus Ventura. That's a pretty solid game. On DK, they're 2 out of the top 3 pitchers for tomorrow. Ventura's injuries would put him a little suspect with me for being a top 3 pitcher. But, yeah, if that game's not going to get played, that's kind of a shame for tomorrow night because, I mean, that's 2 out of your top 3 options right there. So, do you take Ventura or do you not? Yeah, that one's more of a question to me. I'd probably go more Waka, especially because he's not, he's mid 10 ranges for price. It's not he's the top pitcher, but he's not a 13K top pitcher. So,
Right, right. You know what? I'm totally on board with what you said about Ventura. I love this kid's stuff. I was raving about him before the year began, and I targeted him in all my season-long leagues because I knew that most of the guys I was playing with didn't know who he was. So it was nice to get him, but it kind of sucks, when he gets hurt. I won't. I don't think I'm going to be touching him until I see, what's going on with this, with this elbow and stuff here, because this is his first start back. He didn't go on the DL or anything, but he missed a start or two.
but
I want to see it.
that's the important thing that some people are missing, that you see through the years cycling through fantasy sports. When a guy's elbow is irritated and he doesn't go on the DL, it doesn't necessarily mean that his elbow is 100% healthy. We have to watch him his next start. If it gets worse, he could hit that DL at that point. So that's made me very suspect. Like, I love Ventura. I've been using him all year until he started hitting the hiccups and what's going on with his arm. And, I mean, has he pitched himself out a little? He's young. At that point, I need to see his elbow bounce back tomorrow before I would even roster him. As a GPP guy, he won't be going in many of my rosters. It could be devastating to me, but, easily the next morning you could see on ESPN, and Ventura is going to Dr. Andrews to have his elbow looked at, and then everyone's like, oh, well, that was obvious. People knew. And it's like, well, we heard stuff, but we didn't know. So, yeah, it makes me very, very suspect, dude. It does.
Yeah, yeah. And with that being said, we both like the pitchers in this game. I'm not on hitters. I'm honestly not. The Royals aren't a team that do anything offensively, and I like Waka. I like what Waka presents. No hitters for me at all in this game. I will not have a single hitter, even on the shorter slate. There will not be a single hitter on any of these teams in my lineup.
I'm in 100% agreement. Even after Colton Wong gifted me a grand slam the other night. I'm not saying that he'll be in because I think he was out tonight.
Love Colton Wong.
But that was beautiful.
Love Colton Wong.
That was absolutely beautiful. But looking at Waka versus Ventura, I'm fading it altogether because I more want to see how it plays out. I want to see how Ventura's arm is. I want to see how Waka can perform against KC. I don't know. I can't really get behind either of them, but I'm definitely fading all the hitters. I'm not even touching them, either side right now.
Yeah, I could talk a lot about Colton Wong right now. I'm not going to. I love Colton Wong. Anyway, two more to push through. The Brewers and the Twins, another rain-type game. Looks like it's going to be raining all the way up through, all the way throughout. Not as likely as the last game there. But, it's still there's still quite a bit of potential. It is Willie Peralta, who got banged up by the Cubs last start, and Kevin Correa.
You would know that, wouldn't you? Willie
Peralta, man, I watch every Cubs game.
So he did. I don't know. Peralta doesn't do much for me. I keep playing him. He's very highly priced. He's still hovering at 8,300 on DK. In his past 4 games, he's got 7, 16, 10, 18. He's averaging 8 to 9K on price on all of those. And it's like you're getting a guy that's going to get you between 10 and 20 points and about 4 or 5Ks. So I would need his price to drop before I'd really start looking at him tomorrow because I've been burned too many times by him. I need him to outperform his salary. He's fine at 6 or 7 on DK, but not at 8,300. And Minnesota, I'm really out on them as batters. I don't know what to do with them because in my mind, traditionally they're terrible, but then they've had some good strokes. April, Minnesota kind of came out of nowhere with the bats, and they messed with my mind, but now they're regressing back to where they kind of should be. So, I don't know. Peralta I'll probably fade just because of his price.
You know what? Honestly, I'm going to disagree here. Can I cue some music or something? I really love what Peralta's stuff. If you watch this guy pitch, his stuff is incredible. And I know that doesn't always translate because there are a lot of guys who have that and it doesn't work out. Jake Arrieta. Anyway, Peralta's got great stuff. His slider's plus. His fastball is obviously plus plus. Really good stuff. And last start, honestly, against the Cubs, if you watch this game, which not a lot of people watch Cubs games, but if you watch the Cubs game, Peralta pitched well. He missed on 2 pitches that Anthony Rizzo happened to hit for home runs. And then two of the other earned runs off him were inherited runners as Zach Duke. They brought in Zach Duke to see 2 straight lefties, and he gave 2 straight hits. So, Peralta kind of had some bad luck. And he did kind of like tweak his back early in the game, but he's got good stuff. I like that price. I really do. So that's a guy that will be on my radar. Kevin Correa, no.
He's 300
Sorry?
less than Yordano Ventura. He's 300 less than him on DK.
Man, Yordano's that cheap? 86?
He's 8,600. Peralta's 8,300. So
what's Waka?
Waka's like 10.5. 10-7. I mean, think about that. Doesn't that mess with your mind a little bit? You give me all this Peralta stuff, and I'm completely on board, but then it's like, well, he's only $300 less on DK than a Ventura, who I still don't trust his elbow, but good God, look at the upside. I don't know. Does Peralta have upside against Minnesota tomorrow? Does he have
I think so.
7 to 9 Ks in him?
I mean, 7 and 9 is tough, but he's got the stuff to do it. I really truly believe that.
I don't know. I kind of really like that pick just because I wasn't on it because of his price, but I'm really curious to see if he can put up at least 6 Ks tomorrow and do 6 innings, then he'll probably pay that price off easily. So, and I don't know. I told you originally I'd been riding him in the beginning half of the season, and his price wasn't matching for me. So yeah, that's a real interesting one. The unfortunate thing about all these games right now we're talking about is the weather. We can be dissecting all these guys, and then tomorrow it's just, oh yeah, it's postponed. Guess what? Your 5 minutes of commentary about Peralta are gone.
Yep. 100%. Exactly what you just said. It could quickly, very, very quickly vanish on you tomorrow. And with that being said, it's something to keep your eye on. You have to be aware of what's happening here. I like Brewers bats against Correa. I will say that, but we do need to move to this last one just to finish it up.
Hey, before you do, Brewers.
Okay,
bats,
go ahead.
Brewers bats. I'm 100% on board. I'll have at least like close to a full stack and a mini stack or 2 against Correa. That's happening.
Great.
So we don't even need to name names. We're not here for that. We need actual lineups tomorrow, but go with the top 1 through 4, 1 through 6. If you want to get cute, go 8 and then 1, 2, and 3 or something. That's what I do, GPP style.
GPP style, like you said.
It's all numbers to me, Logie. That's the thing. I try to take the human element out of it as much as I can. And that's something that people struggle with. Probably yourself. Do you play Goldschmidt or Edwin Encarnacion? It's like, that's a really tough call to make. I don't freaking know. I want to go E5 because he's been hot. But, Goldschmidt's really good every night. So, from my aspect, it's like, well, what does my roster call for? Which player fits in based on the number and the price? Like, I try to take my actual choosing of player versus player out of it as much as possible, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I respect that. But there is one last game to get to. It's the Diamondbacks and Rockies. Another game where, I don't think this one gets rained out because it seemingly never, ever gets rained out there. But do keep your eye on, kind of the weather is in play here a little bit. But Juan Nicasio and Bronson Arroyo, there's going to be runs scored here. There's going to be a lot of runs scored.
You got it right there. We're in Colorado, so everyone's stacking meters have gone to 11 at this point. Arroyo fooled everyone 3 or 4 games back. He pretended to be a good pitcher, but I don't know. These past few games, he's come back down to earth. Nicasio, same difference. We got Arizona, Colorado. I'm looking at batters at this point, both of them. Especially, I'm not sure you would know right away. Which one does Arroyo struggle against, the lefties or the righties more?
I honestly, man, I don't know. I don't have that. Just because
Oh.
this is a guy he's pretty crafty. Um,
That's that's a very accurate
I
statement. He's become one of those vets that gets crafty with their pitches, so I can definitely understand that aspect of it with him.
Yeah, I honestly, it's something that I should look into, but I don't have off the top of my head. And
Let me look.
honestly, my
He's a
internet's not even
righty,
gonna.
and so history would say he's terrible against lefties.
I, I honestly,
I'm
I don't want to
throwing those
even
big
make a
stats
guess.
in the final 2 or 3 minutes of this show, so go ahead and blow right by that. What do you think of the pitchers, Arroyo and Nicasco? We're going friggin' batters up, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep. 100%. You hit it on the head there.
We're waiting for lineups. We need the lineups. Once we have them, it's in Colorado, and from the GPP guy, it's like those guys are going on 33% of my teams. 2 out of the 6, I'll have Colorados or Arizona bats, depending on who's in the lineup. But targeting hitters 1 through 4, and possibly 7 and 8, 1 and 2.
Yep, yep. Everybody.
Take them all. Take
So,
them all. We'd be
take
stupid
them off.
not to at this point. I mean, people keep trying to fade this kind of stuff. It is not working out for them. It hasn't worked out for me. Probably hasn't worked out for you. So it's time to get on the train. Just go with it, especially with suspect pitchers. The second you get sketchy pitchers in there, you don't even have to think about it.
Yep, yeah, totally agree. Don't try to get super cute here, guys. You don't need to. Two not so great pitchers against really good hitters in a really good hitting environment. What more do you need to say? But we got through it. Wrapped it up. We got 1 minute left. Wrapped it
You,
all up.
you were freaking about 20 minutes ago. I start getting off task. It's like, hey, we still got 5 games. It's 4 minutes a segment. Don't worry. We got this on the numbers. The numbers I'm all right with real quick. I started flashing some of the GPP stuff. I do percentages on my picks. I look at the field. That's why I build 5 or 6 rosters. That's why I'm not great at building a single one. I need to
Right.
work 15 guys across 5 or 6 rosters, and I do it in a percentage base. So I think we got it, man. We nailed all the stuff tonight. It's 9:30 right now. Internet connections could have been spotty, but we got through it. I love it. What do you think? Ending thoughts?
We got through it. I don't know. I don't have anything else, man. I'm gonna go watch some Cubs. Hopefully they come back here. I know it's 4-2 now. Ugh. But hopefully your teams are doing well. I know mine are doing okay. I have Yoenis Cespedes just about everywhere. He's got double dong tonight so far. So
I only took him on 1 out of the 6. Ah,
well, hey man, one is better than none. We'll
that's
say
it.
that.
That's one of the reasons why you kind of have to have 6 sometimes. At least you got him on the 1. Let's see where that one goes. Maybe I got some sweet little mini stacks with him. So, Logie, it's been fun. Bottoms up.
Yeah, man.
Like that.
Same to you
As usual.
guys. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck tomorrow, guys. There will what's tomorrow? Thursday. I will not be on tomorrow night. Chris, I'm assuming, and maybe Matt Bell. Somebody will have you here to take care of Friday DFS. But good luck tomorrow, and have a great night. Good luck to finish the night. This is Furious and Logie Bear signing off. Take care, guys.